You know, in our world of instant messages and DMs, what's the real power of an old-fashioned letter? Well, today, we're going to dive into a novel that suggests our entire lives can actually be found in the ink of our correspondences. It's a story that captured millions, one envelope at a time.
I just love this quote. It really gets to the heart of the whole book, doesn't it? The idea that a life can be pieced together, understood, and maybe even healed, all through the simple act of putting pen to paper.
And here it is. The book is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. This novel became this quiet, kind of unassuming literary sensation. It's all about a life lived through letters, and it shows you how a single piece of mail can literally change everything.
And when I say sensation, I mean it. It shot up the New York Times bestseller list, hit the top 10 on Amazon, and got praise from PBS to NPR. This wasn't just a book with a big marketing push. It was a total word-of-mouth phenomenon that just struck a chord with so many readers.
So who's the woman at the center of this whole story? All right, let's meet the unforgettable main character, Sybil Van Antwerp.
To really get Sybil, you have to understand her ritual. Every single morning, like clockwork, she gets ready for what has become the most important part of her day.
She writes letters. For her whole life, this has been her thing. It's how she makes sense of the world, how she connects with people, and how she processes all of her most private thoughts. And the people she writes to, it's a fascinating list. I mean, sure, her brother and her best friend, that makes sense, but she also writes to a university president, and even famous authors like Joan Didion and Larry McMurtry. Her letters basically map out her entire world. But there's one letter she writes over and over and over, and she never sends it.
Now, don't get the wrong idea, Sybil is not some recluse, far from it. She's lived this huge, complex life as a lawyer, a wife, a mother, you name it. Her letters are like the threads that weave all these different parts of her life together into this amazing portrait of a woman.
So her life is settled, it's routine, but the book poses this really powerful question. What happens when the quiet history of your past suddenly decides to write back?
And that question, well, that's what kicks this whole story into high gear. This is the moment when Sybil's carefully organized world gets completely turned upside down.
It starts so simply. The mail arrives, but mixed in with the usual envelopes are letters she never, ever expected to see again. They're from someone in her past, a person from a time that she has tried so hard to leave behind.
And yeah, this is no happy reunion. These letters are a reckoning. They force Sybil to confront this deep, unresolved pain that has pretty much shaped the entire course of her life.
So how can she possibly respond to this? Well, the answer, as it turns out, lies in that one piece of mail that she could never bring herself to send.
Sybil has this huge realization. In order to face the past that just showed up in her mailbox, she has to finally confront the words she could never send. That unsent letter, it holds the key to her whole future.
When you boil it all down, this whole journey that she's on is about one single powerful thing: forgiveness. Sybil learns that she has to offer it, not just to other people, but, and this is the most important part, to herself.
I think this is why the novel hits home for so many people. It tackles these huge universal themes, right? The arrogance of being young, the wisdom you get with old age, and that fundamental need we all have for human connection.
So it's no surprise at all that critics and other authors just showered this book with praise. Let's check out some of the critical acclaim.
This simple but powerful line comes from the literary giant Ann Patchett. She calls the novel a cause for celebration, and that just perfectly captures the book's spirit. It's so life-affirming, even when it's dealing with painful memories.
The Wall Street Journal points out its surprise success, right? This wasn't a book with a massive marketing campaign. It was just a novel that people found, fell in love with, and then had to tell all their friends about.
This quote from author Florence Knapp gets right to the book's emotional core. It's about the power of watching a character's journey of self-discovery. This is a story that's designed to make you feel something, and that is its greatest strength. So, we'll leave you with the central question of the novel. Sybil's unsent letter was the story she needed to tell to finally move forward. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the story you've never shared, but maybe you most need to tell? The link to this book is in the video description.